Republicans eager to find out what really happened in Benghazi will up the ante today. They will call for a vote to form a select committee. That committee would include both Republicans and Democrats, unless, of course, Democrats decide to boycott what some call a kangaroo court. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton didn't go there, but she's not happy.
Despite all of the hearings, all of the information that's been provided, some choose not to be satisfied and choose to continue to move forward. That's their choice, and I do not believe there is any reason for it to continue in this way, but they get to call the shots in the Congress.
My next guest agrees. He's called this proposed committee, quote, a colossal waste of time, a red herring, and a waste of taxpayer money. He is Congressman Adam Schiff, a Democrat from California. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning, Carol. How are you?
I'm good. So I'll just put it right out there. It's nearly 2 years later, and we still don't know who killed those 4 Americans in Libya. So how could this be a waste of time? Don't we owe it to the families of the victims to find out?
Well, it's certainly not a waste of time to be going after their killers, and that is something that we're doing and something that we're following on the Intelligence Committee. But the Select Committee is really set up with a wholly different purpose. It's a Select Committee on talking points. It's a fundraising vehicle for the Republican Party, and that, frankly, is a really, destructive and yet again partisan exercise that gets us, unfortunately, farther from a focus on bringing these people to justice, farther from a focus on where are we in terms of protecting our diplomatic facilities around the world. That is really not what this Select Committee is interested in. It is really just interested in talking points and trying to embarrass the administration or trying to score political points against Hillary Clinton.
Well, I must say, House Speaker John Boehner was reluctant to form this committee, but as the Washington Post's Dana Milbank writes, quote, if Republicans succeed in turning the Benghazi scandal from a nothing burger into a double Big Mac, the Obama White House can blame its own secrecy and obsessive control over information. And what he's specifically talking about, had a memo allegedly suggesting Secretary Susan Rice spin her TV talking points been released without a fight, this select committee would not be in the mix. And to make matters worse, Jay Carney denied the memo was even about Benghazi. Listen.
John, again.
Why did it take a court case for you to release this?
John, I can say it again and again, and I know you can keep asking again and again. This document was not about Benghazi.
But it was. And if there's nothing to hide, why the secrecy, right? Why not just get all the information out there and get it out of the way?
Well, when you say that the email from Ben Rhodes was about Benghazi, that's true if you consider that only 2 sentences of a 4-page memo were about Benghazi. And those 2 sentences in the Rhodes memo about Benghazi made no mention of a video. So it really is, I think, conflating all the rest of what was discussed in that, which really was focused on...
Well, then why didn't they turn it over? If it was only 2 lines, what difference did it make? Why didn't they just turn it over?
Well, I don't know the explanation for that. The White House, I think, has said that it wasn't, the person who wrote the memo wasn't the subject of the subpoena. But I'm not part of the production team. I can't answer that. But I can tell you this. To use this email as the justification for why all of a sudden the speakers had a change of heart, really, I think, is just a pretext. Because the email sheds absolutely no new light. Those 2 sentences in the email about Benghazi track the CIA talking points completely. So they were not at all inconsistent with anything that has been released in the 25,000 other pages. That's why this is a red herring. And of course, the formation of this committee has a lot more to do with Republican fundraising and Republican base motivation than it does any Rhodes email. I think it really has to be called for what it is.
You are right about Republican fundraising. They are trying to fundraise off this Benghazi controversy. You've also said it doesn't make sense for members of your party to participate in this panel. So if it's approved, will you boycott?
Well, look, I'm going to accept whatever the leadership decides on this, and I know it's a tough question. There are obviously strengths from not participating, in my view. The advantage is not giving credibility to this partisan exercise. But if leadership ultimately concludes that it needs to have a seat at the table to make sure that completely distort what the witnesses say, I will accept whatever decision that the leadership makes.
Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff of California, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate it.
You bet.